who has its roots. Okay. Dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to some of the Vaishnavi devotees, and all glories to our revered speaker for today, Her Grace Mother VRAJALILA Devi. Mother VRAJALILA needs no introduction. Oftentimes, I'm compelled to make same statement that the speaker needs no introduction, and it is truly the case because most of us, if not all of us, who have our roots, like Mother Regula was saying before we got online, Kusha Prabhu has this symbol, I love my roots. Those of us who have our roots in Africa, we are all devotees today, partly or mostly because of the sacrifices of other devotees and particularly Mother VRAJALILA. So we are all indebted to her sacrifices, and we are here today as Hare Krishna devotees. So she comes here to share her love with us, her wisdom with us from time to time, at least once in a month. And therefore, she's not a new person. That's why we say she needs no introduction. So Mother VRAJALILA, you are welcome back to your own home. It's very interesting how one can be welcomed to her own home, but that is the norm that we follow here in Hare Krishna Africa. So without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. And I'm most grateful as always. Yes, it's always nice to be in an assembly of devotees where I can feel very nourished. I feel very cared for. And I thank you all very much for including me in your assembly of great sages that's on this call every day. Thank you. Okay, here is the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narancharbam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Mahurdayat Nastaprasya Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki. So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 33. Okay. The Sanskrit Etad Bhagavato Rupam Stulam Te Vyahiritam Maya Mayadibhis Chavaranir Ashtibir Bahir Avritam. And the synonym Etat, all these, Bhagavata, of the personality of Godhead, Rupam, form. Stulam, gross, te, unto you, Vyaharitam, explained, Maya, by me, Mahi, the planets, Adibhi, and so on, unlimitedly, Avar, Nahi, by coverings, Astabhi, by 8, Bahi, external, Avritam, covered. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Thus, by all this, the external feature of the personality of Godhead is covered by gross forms, such as those of planets, which were explained to you by me. Srila Prabhupada's purport. As explained in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4, the separated material energy of the personality of Godhead is covered by 8 kinds of material coverings, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All these are emanations from the personality of Godhead as his external energy. These coverings are just like the coverings of clouds from the sun. The cloud is a creation of the sun, yet it actually covers the eyes so that one cannot see the sun. The sun cannot be covered by the clouds. The cloud can at utmost extend a few hundreds of miles in the sky, but the sun is far greater than millions of miles. So 100-mile covering is not competent to cover millions of miles. Therefore, one of the various energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot, of course, cover the Lord. But these coverings are created by him to cover the eyes of the conditioned souls who want to lord it over the material nature. Actually, the conditioned souls are covered by the illusory creative cloud of matter, and the Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to their eyes. Because they have no eyes of transcendental vision, and because they cannot see the personality of Godhead, they therefore deny the existence of the Lord and the transcendental form of the Lord. The covering of the gigantic material feature is accepted by such poor men with a poor fund of knowledge, and how this is so is explained in the following verse. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamaya Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagachat Sahaja Shri Rupam Sahagatam Okay, Shri Rupam Sahagatam Salalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Vipasindubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktitirtha Swami Tinamine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitakmane Shri Gaura Karna Shakti Bhaktitirtha Tinamine Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribol, my dear devotees. So while I was chanting the Mangalacharana prayer, there's this saint sage came into my mind, just absolutely came into my mind, and totally got distracted from the prayer. So I apologize for whatever distraction you may have had to have because of my distraction. Anyway, here is the translation. Thus, by all this, the external feature of the personality of Godhead is covered by gross forms, such as those of planets, which were explained to you by me. So this verse is bringing us to the conclusion of Krishna, of us understanding Krishna's external form. So in this verse, we learned that there has been some discussions before about the Vrat Rupa, the Vrat Purusha, Vrat Rupa, this form of the Lord that is Prabhupada is mentioned in this verse. that this is the external feature of the personality of Godhead that is covered by gross forms. So that in the verse, I believe the verse says, Etat Bhagavato Rupam, Etat Bhagavato Rupam, the personality of Godhead, and this is about his form. So this Rupam, this form, was described in 3 different sections of this second canto. And the first time this was discussed was Maharaj asking this question about this gross form of the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit, he was very curious. He wanted to understand several times, 3 different times. He wanted to get clarification on this form. And so the first time that Maharaj Parikshit asked about this form, Shukadeva Goswami answered this question by explaining that this Virat Purusha form, as discussed in the first chapter of this second canto, in that first chapter, I believe it's in the 20-something verse, somewhere around there, it was discussed by Shukadeva Goswami. Was answered, that question was answered to Maharaj Parikshit by explaining that this form is described as an object of meditation for the attached yogi. So the attached yogis in the neophyte stage, where they may still be attached, to some impersonal understanding of the Lord, that form is available. That's the object of their meditation. And then again, Maharaj Parikshit inquired about this form, the Virat Rupa. Okay. Yeah. And so again, there was an inquiry from Maharaj Parikshit.
Hare Krishna devotees, it appears we lost our speaker for a moment. So please let's continue to stay on the line. She will be here shortly. I don't know exactly what the problem was, but she will be back. Okay.
Nadia Gojumani Tananda Mahajan Nadia Gojumani Tananda Mahajan Hatya Chinam Hate Jibera Karan Hatya Chinam Hate Jibera Karan Shraddha Bhanjan hai, Shraddha Bhanjan hai Shraddha Bhanjan hai, Shraddha Bhanjan hai Prabhu Vajo Krishna Koro Krishna Shika Bolo Krishna Vajo Krishna Koro Krishna Shika Aparara Shunna Hoy Loho Krishna Naam Aparara Shunna Hoy Loho Krishna Naam Krishna Mato Krishna Pito Krishna Dana Pran Krishna Mato Krishna Pito Krishna Dana Pran
Whoa, that was a beautiful intermission.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
I don't know. I got disconnected, my dear devotees. Something
It's
was happening.
okay.
Yeah, so we're after seeing Srila Prabhupada, such beauty. It's yeah, we can understand this verse even more because all of our beauty comes from understanding this external feature of the Lord in many ways. Of course, it helps us to understand Srila Prabhupada being the transcendental person. And so anyway, I was describing that in this question of Maharaj Parikshit, that where he asked about this because he wanted clarification. He wanted to understand this Virat Rupa, like why is it important? So again, Shukadeva Goswami responded to this question. And in the second description, Shukadeva Goswami explained that this Virat Rupa is actually explaining the limbs of the Lord. It's speaking about different planets and different limbs. And you've been through all this because you've gone through the entire second chapter. And I'm sorry, the second canto, you've already gone through so much of it. And so this has always all been explained. However, the reason I brought this up is because even Maharaj Parikshit was clarifying this over and over and over again. So the question may be, well, why do we have to speak about this again? What is the purpose of hearing about the Virat Rupa, which for some may be very technical. I know for myself it is. And for others, it might just be kind of like, well, it sounds so scientific. Like, you know, the interest may not be there as much as hearing Leela, right? Pastimes or hearing about the great devotees. But however, Maharaj Parikshit, his example teaches us that it is important. It is important to learn about this Virat Rupa, this form of the Lord. And so in the third description of Sukadeva Goswami explaining this to Maharaj Parikshit, he explains to Maharaj Parikshit that this external feature of the personality of Godhead is the entire super soul of everything. For example, Maharaj Parikshit, he explained to Maharaj Parikshit that this as we learned, Mahavishnu, we've been through this already. However, just to bring a vision, just for us to have this vision again, it starts with Krishna, of course, everything emanates from Krishna, we know this. And then Krishna has this desire to create. And so then we have Mahavishnu, who is the super soul of the entire material creation. So this is being re-emphasized about these different forms, these aspects of the Lord. And then, of course, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he is described as the super soul of the living entities. So that's the super soul of all of us. And then of course we have Kishore Vishnu, who's Kishore Vishnu is the super soul of all of us, and Garbhodakshay Vishnu, which all the universes come from, is described as the super soul in all the universes, all the planetary systems, everything that's created. So that clarification is important because now we are hearing in this verse that all the planetary systems are included in this Virat Rupa. And so it's important to understand that from these universes that's coming out of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, that within all of these different universes, there are different planetary systems. So there's layers of, there's many, 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 gazillion, many universes. And out of those universes comes, like we said, different planetary systems. And out of these planetary systems, then we know that Lord Brahma takes on the creation after that, and he creates these living entities, which are us. So just to, for me, I needed to kind of get a perspective, because when I read these these verses, they can, for me, because it requires a very deep level of devotion to fully realize how this external form is a part of everything that's existing in our planet. And so Prabhupada then talks about how these different, he explains in the verse that that the separated material energies of the personality of Godhead is covered by 8 kinds of material coverings. And these material coverings, as you have been told, I'm sorry, there's people coming here. Okay, as you've been told in the different verses that you've been studying, these different material coverings are coverings that reflect a different part of the Lord. And you've all been through this, where, you know, the eyes represent certain things, the ears, the nose, the mouth, every aspect of the Lord. And every aspect of the Lord can be understood from us. So it's not that the Virat Rupa is cheap. It's not like a ordinary cheap understanding of the Lord. Actually, it's something that only people that had the eyes, that were anointed with the eyes, that could even understand this form or see this form of the Lord. Yet, it's important to know that this is a form that the yogis are meditating on, and this is a form that we understand is within everything. However, the intent of Srila Prabhupada to share about the Virat Rupa form is to have us be attracted to who Krishna really is, who is Krishna, and how great Krishna is. When we read about the Virat Rupa, or we hear about the Virat Rupa, it makes us understand how small we really are. So this understanding of the Virat Rupa can only be understood from someone who has the qualification to understand it. And so I don't have the qualification to really understand it. However, by the mercy of my spiritual master and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, I have been blessed to be able to understand, or to at least get some knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, which is the object of all of our desires, right? When we hear about the Virat Rupa, we hear about the desires of the Lord. The Lord is so much dedicated. He's so committed, you know, to protecting the living entities, that he makes himself available in this form in all of the different planetary systems, in order to simply give the living entity an opportunity to understand his greatness. And then as we understand the greatness of the Lord, then we start falling from the mind into the heart, to understanding Leela's pastimes, you know, the Lord's activities. What is the Lord? How's the Lord interacting with us? We start asking so many different questions. However, it is only when we start really appreciating the different parts of the Lord, like, for example, the mountains that represent the planetary system, or when we start looking at the oceans, and when we start, you know, appreciating all these external factors, these external representations of the Lord, that we then can start, who is this person? Who is this? What is this? What makes the seasons change? What brings cold ice to now summer green trees? We start developing a curiosity, and then that curiosity brings us to um, understanding the Lord. However, it's difficult to understand this because we have in the verse it mentions about the separated material energy. And because we are a part of that separated energy, a separated material energy, it's very difficult sometimes to understand the sweetness of the Supreme Lord. It's very difficult to really go to enter into the heart space where Krishna lives as Paramatma, to understand activities and pastimes of the Lord. And so in the Bhagavad Gita, in I believe it's in 725, is a beautiful verse. And I don't know if you can pull that up, Saha. Yeah, this is such a beautiful verse. Um, this verse says, Naham Prakasha Sarvashya Yoga Maya Samavritaha Muda Amyam Nabhiganati Lokamam Ajam Avyayam. So this verse says, I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. And so this verse helps us to understand this Virat Rupa and how most people cannot begin to even understand how the Lord is in this material creation, how the Lord uh, makes this material creation. So then why would the Lord make himself available for people that are foolish, that do not have any desire, any understanding about who he really is? And so therefore, there's a covering. And this covering, this material energy that we're covered, all the living entities within this within this universe, within this planet, we're covered by these separated energies of the Lord: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. And so therefore, unless we can penetrate these coverings, then we will not really understand who God is. We may have some understanding. We will always get some understanding. However, we may not get the complete understanding of who the Lord is. And so, therefore, understanding the Virat Rupa helps us, as was explained to Maharaj Parikshit in the first chapter of the second canto, like the yogis, like the neophyte yogis, to begin to have some awareness. And it is only by the mercy of the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, respective spiritual masters, that then we begin to have a window of opening into our hearts to really connect with trying to get some knowledge about who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. And so in this verse, Prabhupada mentioned that there are many personalities that have tried to explain, or not tried, they have explained about this covering of material nature and how material nature is a distraction for the conditioned souls, how material nature keeps us like in a jail, like in a prison, where we may not develop the desire to really understand what's beyond these material energies. And so this covering that we have is really important to understand so that we can pray to the Lord, pray to the spiritual master to get a better, let's say a better connection with those personalities that can help us to open our hearts to have this understanding about the Lord. And so Krishna also explains in the next verse, that very next verse of Bhagavad Gita, that that's 726 in 726. Yeah, thank you. Okay, this verse says Vedaham samatitani vartamanani vartamanani charjuna Bhavishyani Chabutani Mamtwa Veda Nakashchana. And that verse says, O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything. This is I think is that 726? I don't think that's that verse. Okay, so this verse also explains this. It says, O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past and all that's happened in the present and all the things yet to be known, all living entities, but me no one knows. So again, this understanding about the Lord can only be understood through having divine guidance, having proper guidance. Krishna also says that this transcendental body of his is like the sun, and Maya is like cloud. I don't know if that's in the purport. Can you bring up that? Can you just pull up the purport? Let me just see if this is in the purport. Okay, like clearances happen. We have Krishna instructing sun god Millers knows that living entity is situated in. Okay, we talked about the living entity being situated. Okay, so this must be in another verse where Krishna says that. Here it is. Yeah, certainly the transcendental body of Sri Krishna is not perishable. He is just like he is just like the sun, and Maya is like a cloud. There we go. Now it's interesting because here Prabhupada is speaking about this in this text, and then here in Srimad Bhagavatam he's referencing the cloud and the sun, and so he says in the first part of this purport, he explained that the cloud is a creation of the sun, yet it covers the eyes so that no one cannot see the sun. The sun cannot be covered by clouds. Yeah, the cloud, the cloud is a creation of the sun. They cannot be covered. So, and then he's explaining about having this vision, if you will. This is an analogy actually to understand the cloud and the sun in relationship to us, and having our desires, which can be like clouds. They can be like a part of the covering. And while we cannot really understand the sun, because the sun is like light, it's like, it penetrates everything in the atmosphere. And so the sun plays a crucial role in affecting our planet, in affecting our world, in affecting water on Earth, because as you know, scientifically, through the process of evaporation and condensation and precipitation, that the sun is the driver of and the creation of the clouds. So the clouds really, Prabhupada explains, cannot cover the sun because of the role that the sun plays within the different planetary systems. Yet, Prabhupada explains that the only way that this cloud, which can represent Maya for us, the only way we can penetrate that is to be able to take full shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada also explains that the cloud it extends, the reason he's giving this analogy is to help us to become clear that the cloud only extends a few hundred miles in the sky. but the sun is far greater. Actually, it's explained 93 million miles greater than the clouds. And the clouds understand the role. They understand their roles. Their role is secondary to supporting the sun. And so within our atmosphere, everything is created by Krishna to act interdependently with each other. Everything is actually personal. Everything is to support each other. So the clouds are to support the sun. Now, when we relate that to the conditioned souls being covered by Maya, the only way that we can understand the light, so to speak, or the only way we can understand who we really are is, as Srila Prabhupada says, to be able to receive the causeless mercy from the Lord. Because Krishna doesn't want to manifest. He makes a choice. He chooses himself not to manifest to people that are foolish, not to manifest to people who don't want to know him. And the fact is that most people in the material world, other than, of course, those persons that have been blessed to have knowledge about the Lord, most people in the material world, they want to forget the Lord. They choose to forget the Lord. So why would the Lord make himself available to people that choose not to want to know him, people that don't have a desire or interest to know him? So it's natural when Srila Prabhupada gives this explanation that the conditioned souls, they're covered by so okay, the conditioned souls, they are covered by this illusory energy. Prabhupada says that these coverings are created by him to cover the eyes of the conditioned souls who want to lord it over material nature. And that's the desire of people that are here in the world. And we can see that. We can see that within this particular planet Earth, we can see that there are so many people that are actually exploiting this just this one planet that we live on. And there are, in different planetary systems, exploitation that also goes on, because there's always the demons and the divine, right? And so here on this planet, we get an opportunity to really see these verses as, this section of what Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, that just like the clouds cannot cover the sun, we ourselves in the material world, if we make this choice to not try to understand the Lord, then the coverings, these coverings that are created by him, we just won't be able to have any deeper realizations about our relationship with the Lord, because Krishna himself, he created these coverings. Because of the living, as Prabhupada is saying here, because of the living entity's desire to be the controllers, to be the Lord of all that they survey, that Krishna says, okay, you want that? You want to deny me? You want to not accept me? Want to not understand me? Well, here, here's here you're getting this opportunity. Vishnu is providing all of us this opportunity to be covered by Krishna's external separated material energies. And then he says that they're covered, these conditioned souls, they're covered by the illusory creative cloud of matter, and the Lord reserves the right. So yes, Krishna says, you want to deny me, you want to not know me. And I say that in meaning, I don't want to know Krishna. I don't want to love Krishna. I think that I can, be the one to explore all the different planetary systems. I can be the one to explore all, perhaps outside of this universe, even if I have that understanding. Or I might have a desire, to lord it over just even in my own small little kingdom of my family, whatever. If I have that desire, then Krishna says, yes, I reserve that right. I reserve that right to not let us understand him. And it's only, as we said earlier, only by his causeless mercy that we get that mercy from the spiritual master to begin to have some little bit of understanding. So now in the Shishopanishad, it's also explained, right? That Ishopanishad tells us, I believe it's in the 15th mantra of the Shishopanishad. It explains that there is the prayer. If you can pull that up, Saha, I think, and I don't, yeah, I think it's 15. Yeah, it's the mantra about Krishna's dazzling effulgence. Thank you. Yeah. So Krishna says, oh, as explained here in the Shishopanishad, if we can go to that prayer. Oh, my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covering by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotees. So the pure devotees, they're not affected really by Krishna's external coverings because they're fully connected with the Supreme Lord. However, they make this prayer. This prayer is for all of us because Krishna reserves the right to not be visible to us. And Krishna is covered. And so unless we are able to supplicate ourselves, unless we're able to become humble in this life, unless we're able to understand how great Krishna is, and then begin to have this curiosity to learn more about him, then we're always going to be covered by this dazzling effulgence of the Lord. And in Kunti Devi's prayer, Kunti also, when she's praying, she's sharing with us that Krishna he does not reveal himself to the foolish observer, to somebody that looks at the Virat Purusha and just, questions everything and with a mood of being critical. Krishna doesn't make himself available. Kunti prays like this. She says, yeah, the Lord reserves the right to keep himself away from everyone. I believe that's maybe the 19th prayer of Queen Kunti. Is that you have that? This these prayers are so important because in order to understand Krishna, it's important to know, to understand how our minds work and how the Lord works within our hearts. So we can actually know when we're hearing from Krishna's external energy in our minds, from this external energy, the separated energy. We can actually become aware of when we are being directed by the external energy of the Lord, by this external energy of the mind, for example, because the mind is always very noisy. The mind is loud. The mind can be often kind of give us violent kind of thoughts. The mind is, as Krishna says, our best friend, our worst enemy. And so if this mind is covering us to not have the desire to learn about Krishna or to understand Krishna, then we will be covered by this dazzling effulgence. Yeah, I think it's 19. It's thank you, Sahad. This is so great. to pull up these texts, because even to just see these texts, these texts actually help to soothe the mind. Because, when somebody's hearing class, the mind is very active, because the mind is like chanchala, right? It accepts and it rejects. And so when we're listening or when we're hearing class, oftentimes the mind becomes so active, either rejecting what someone is saying or accepting in hopefully in most cases. But this mind rejecting actually can be a very big disturbance from us understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Kunti says, being beyond the range of limited sense perception, and she's praying like this, you are the irreproachable factor covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible, again, this word, foolish observer, exactly as an actor, just as a player is not recognized. I think if you go down a couple of, I think if you go to the next prayer, I believe there's two other prayers that she, you yourself descend. Of course, this is ultimately the solution to having the mind distract us. You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. And then she asked, how then can we women know you perfectly? And we can only know Krishna's perfectly by the causeless mercy of Krishna. Again, I'm repeating that. That causeless mercy of Krishna comes to us through the mercy of the Parampara. Okay, if you go down a couple more, let's see, a couple more verses, Saha, please. Maybe not this one, but no. Okay. Then, 23. No, that's not the one. Okay, so that's all right. We can just keep this. You get the idea. The idea is that Krishna is, Queen Kunti is fully understanding Krishna. Queen Kunti has a relationship with Krishna. She's the aunt of Krishna, but yet she's making this prayer explaining why he cannot really be understood. And only foolish people won't understand because they have accepted the covering. They have accepted Krishna's external separated energies. And the way that is the reason this is important to us is because we accept the mind on a daily basis. We accept the mind interjecting what we're to do, how we're to do, how we're to think. And this mind is it's one of Krishna's separated material energy. It's such a distraction for us to really understand who Krishna is. And so when we understand the mind, when we understand how the mind works, then we can intercept the workings of the mind by hearing the voice of Krishna. And the voice of Krishna is very soft, very gentle, very kind, very loving, very supportive. When we hear that voice, which often we cannot hear because we're so covered by this external energy that keeps us distracted, that we cannot really begin to connect with the Supreme Lord who is there, who is a part of who we are. And so Srila Prabhupada then explains that people that have no transcendental vision, so how can we have transcendental vision if we are daily affected, distracted by Krishna's external energy, by the mind? Simply just that one aspect of us, of this conditioned living entity. The conditioned living entity is conditioned by how the workings of the mind. And so again, Prabhupada says that people deny the existence. And why would Krishna want to, anyone, let's not take the Lord, anyone, even in us in the material world, why would we make ourselves available to people that do not want us to be available to them. Why would we do that? That's kind of narcissistic. And so I remember a pastime with my spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. And there was a woman in the beginning of us starting the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology in Washington, D.C. And she was a member of Shivananda Swami's group. She had very wonderful qualities. And in that pioneering stage of the Institute, I found myself really wanting to be in her association. I really appreciated that she had some understanding about some deeper aspects of the Lord. However, what her understanding was definitely impersonal. At the same time, she had beautiful qualities. And so I remember, just nurturing her to read Bhagavad Gita. And of course, she had the association of my spiritual master. And, she was just someone that just seemed so ready to move to the next level. And so I was spending a lot of time trying to be with her, trying to give her association. And one day my spiritual master called me and he said, I understand that, the person is, she has, some beautiful qualities, and you think that by spending time that she's going to want to develop a desire to go deeper, to know Krishna, to know the more personal aspect of the Lord. I understand that. However, she's not going to move from where she is, and there are many people that are waiting to just to really open their hearts to Krishna, to the Lord in his personal aspect, in his personal form, to understand deeper, more about the Lord. So this lady, she was someone that we could say was deeply immersed in the Virat Rupa of the Lord. She really had appreciation for so many aspects of the Lord, but not the Lord as we understand him in his personal form. And I remember being so sad when he said that to me, because he said, well, it's your decision. You could keep spending time, with this person. I just want you to know this person is just not going to move from that understanding that they have at this. They're not going to do that anytime soon. And so I remember then having to, make that decision to kind of disassociate myself so much from her, and, trying to put more time into people that really, really were very sincere about understanding Krishna in his softness and sweetness and in his person. And what happened was, up until today, that lady is still in that space, has not moved, right? And so Krishna is like that. It's like, okay, if you want to stay in a space of the cloud of Maya, of my external energy, then no worries. I make it available for you. You can be there. You can stay there. You may think that you having some pleasure there. However, it's temporary. I don't like anything temporary. And actually, on a deeper level of our existence, we don't like anything temporary. Usually, we don't. We exist in a temporary situation, but we don't really like it once we start becoming aware. And so, so this is what Prabhupada is explaining to us, that as long as people deny his existence on whatever the level may be, whether it's gross material energy or whether it's subtle material energy, whatever that may be, whatever choice we may make, he says, okay, I'm there in that particular form for you, which is back to this verse, the Virat Rupa, that form. It's available for anyone that might want to know God on that level. And then the last point I wanted to make here is that Prabhupada says that it's the next verse will start explaining more about how we can move through this material material separated energy of the Lord and come to really understanding Krishna. And that involves basically two things. It involves our interest and our love. So our interest is based on devotion. You know, the intention for us is to become lovers of Krishna, lovers of the Lord. That's the intention. That's the intention given to us by the acharyas. However, even though we all have this gift, we have been blessed to be able to accept this gift. Most of the time we don't accept. And so Krishna, he tells us in Sri Upanishad, he tells us in Nectar of Devotion, how we can develop this mood of trying to understand more about him. And that's through having an interest of devotion. And this interest of devotion is expressed on a practical level through service. That service can be hearing about the Lord, chanting the holy names of the Lord, whatever. There are 9 processes, 9 different ways we can offer service to the Lord. And so we have this opportunity that has been given to us by our revered spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada being the personality that opened all of our eyes and gave us our respective spiritual masters to be able to not just hear, but really listen to the knowledge that's being given to us in these different verses. And so this verse, there's 2 things to take away, 2 things to remember. Just in summary, that the form of the Lord, that's the Virat Rupa, the form of the Lord, it is the material body of the Lord, and he hides himself whenever because he, he doesn't, we deny him, okay? He hides, he can do whatever he wants. He can hide from us, he can, whatever it might be. So, okay, Sahade pulled up this one. By all this, the external feature of the personality of God, it is covered by gross forms. This is our verse. And so in conclusion, these 2 points, the Virat Rupa, which is here, gross forms such as those of planets, and also the coverings, to understand that the coverings, they're there, Krishna has created them for our best interests, so that the coverings are there for us, so that we can come to that level, that place of curiosity, once we start acknowledging, what is all this around me? Why am I a part of this existence? When we start having that kind of curiosity, then Krishna in the heart makes himself more available, and our awareness starts peaking, and then we start having more understanding on a deeper level about the Supreme Lord. And that level increases and increases and increases, because Krishna is unlimited. And really, to really understand Krishna is it's not an easy thing. It's not a cheap thing. But by Krishna's causeless mercy, we can somehow or other get the mercy to be able to enter into some understanding, to really differentiate between hearing from the mind and hearing from the Lord in the heart. That's important. We can design our life in such a way that we can choose to not hear from the mind. We can make that choice. And then we can start hearing the sweet, soft voice of Krishna that's within the heart. Okay, my dear friends, that's what I have for today.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mother VRAJALILA, for sharing this all wonderful, beautiful verse with us all. Dear devotees, if anyone may have comments, questions, realizations you would like to share on this text and the Krishna Katha shared with us by Her Grace Mother VRAJALILA. You may indicate by using the hand emoji and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or to speak, to share your comments or realizations. Well, Mother, thank you. We see, I always say one of my favorite festivals in Hare Krishna movement is Govardhan Puja, because Hare Krishna is said to be kitchen religion. We fast a lot and we feast a lot. But Govardhan Puja, we don't need to fast, we only feast. That's why it's my favorite festival. Now, what brought about this Govardhan Puja Lila is that Lord Krishna's parents wanted to do some offering for the rain god, and Krishna stopped him. And I'm saying this because it is said in the text how Krishna uses his energies as covering from those who do not want to serve him. Now, the text says cloud, which may be different from rain cloud. But my question is, whenever there is cloud, there is some sort of benefit that the human beings gain from. One, if the sun is given us such a scorching heat, the cloud helps the human beings from being scorched from the sun. And oftentimes when there is cloud, there is rain. And when there is rain, there is grains. When there is grains, there is satisfaction. We get energy. So what does Krishna help the individual human beings to gain from giving us this cloud of himself that we do not see him?
Yeah.
There should be something profitable from the cloud of the Lord, preventing the conditioned souls seeing him. Just as, even though it may be unwanted or unwarranted, but obviously when there is cloud, human beings benefit from the cloud in form of either shade or rain. So I just wanted to know, what does Krishna help the loving entities benefit from casting this cloud of himself?
Thank you so much, Saha, as always. Your questions are multi-layered. And
I'm trying to learn from Maharaja Parikshit.
yes. From my understanding, and I'd like to ask some of the more senior devotees that are here also, that if they'd like to add anything. However, from my understanding, this cloud of Maya that Krishna arranges for our benefit, it actually is for our benefit, because as the minute that we decide that we deny Krishna, the minute we decide to deny him, Krishna says, okay, I'll give you a situation where you can work it out, right? It's like a parent. When a child, I work with a lot of parents, and as soon as the kid gets 14 or 15, the parent is like, all right, you can go. Or, if you're going to stay in my house, there are these rules that you got to follow, right? Because, when the hormones kick in for the teenager, then the parent usually don't know what to do if they don't have some knowledge about how to deal with teenagers. And so it can be really a big, distraction for a lot of parents when their children gets to that age. So similarly, we're like children. In one sense, we get to a time where we just deny Krishna. We just don't want to be with Krishna. We just decide, we want something else. And then Krishna says, all right, no worries. I'll give you that. However, I'm going to give you this in such a way. And just think of how Krishna makes himself available in millions and millions and millions of planets to do this. This is his love for us as conditioned souls. He says, okay, I'll create this cloud where you think you can get everything that you want. However, within that cloud, I'll also put an ingredient that will help you to become aware. It may take time, may take lifetimes. That ingredient will be there. And that ingredient of Krishna being in the material world, is what is actually helping us. When this Maya is such a, like there's Yoga Maya, there's Mahamaya. So depending on us, we can have that experience of how we choose to interact in this, as this analogy is explaining. Yes, the clouds, the material clouds do benefit, it benefits the planet, because that's how we get, as you said, that's how we get rain, and they're supporting each other, the sun. So Krishna uses this to say, you can become supportive of me, you can understand me, but you cannot really think that you're bigger than me. And the clouds never think, oh, I'm like, I can overshadow the sun. The cloud never thinks that. Cloud doesn't think, oh, I can become bigger than the sun. It's not, and it understands its role. So similarly, when we have that teenage mentality, we want to deny Krishna. However, even in that place where we can deny Krishna, Krishna arranges where we can see his wonders that's beyond what we can understand. And those wonders are what eventually will bring us to a place where we will question. And within those wonders, we will have some sufferings. We will experience the temporary nature of it, because it's not real. It's temporary. It's real, but it's not real. It's temporary. And once we start understanding the temporary nature of it, and our minds tell us that we're suffering and having pain and being hurt, then we start asking questions. We start being curious. And so then it's a benefit. However, I myself would like to hear from others about this. And maybe we could start with you. What's your understanding?
Well, Hare Krishna, maybe we'll hear from others if others have something to share on my doubts, which is also like a cloud. Now, I do not know what I benefit from this doubt that I have that made me ask this question. But I believe that whatever Krishna does is for our good. And so I was just wondering.
Yeah. It is for our good. As you said, at the same time, yeah, that good is based on our choices in life. So we can experience it in a short time or in a very long time. That good that Krishna has given to us. We are so fortunate. We are so fortunate that we have been blessed to be able to enter into this sacred sanctuary, to understand Krishna's external energy and Krishna's internal energy. I mean, what mercy. What caused this mercy? I can only have gratitude for just being a part, being a part of this, like, whoa, mystical. I can't even think of the word to explain what great fortune, what great fortune. And now it's up to me. What am I going to do with it? I can stay covered by the dazzling effulgence of Krishna. It's beautiful in some ways. However, that is only a spark of Krishna's splendor, just a spark. Yeah, Madhuvan Prabhu.
Yeah, Madhuvan Prabhu, please give me a mute.
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Hare
Nice
Krishna.
seeing you once. Hare Krishna. How very so great to your little speak.
I am so happy to
Nice
see your
seeing
beautiful smile.
nice
That
seeing
is,
you once again. We are so happy to see you again.
yes.
Anytime I know you come online, I'm always eager to want to hear you, see your face, and thank you very much, Mother. About today's test, um, I think my realization is that it helps us to keep our mind from narrow perception, seeing things on a very narrow perception. Without this type of knowledge, we will not know how infinitesimal we have, how minute we have. But this type of knowledge, give us the broad perception. So this analogy of the sun and the cloud, is very, very useful because from this material point of view, we can only see maybe some few thousands of miles away or hundreds of miles. You can see the clouds, and even the material universe itself has its own coverings, so many layers of covering to the extent that it's even dark. Without the sun, it's dark. So there's a lot of covering. And without this type of knowledge coming from the guru or spiritual master, there is no way from the materialistic point of view, one will be able to get a full realization of how great or who Krishna is. Just like you explained, a teenager, at a time, they want to live the life of their own, too much restrictions, too much don't do this, don't do that. So they like to live their life of their own. So sometimes some parents, in their wisdom, they will help you. They can get accommodation for you outside the house. They pay 1 year, or they pay 1 year. So by the time they pay 1 year now, you know that after 1 year, you continue struggling on your own. But of course, having lost the contact with the father or with the family, they face a lot of mystery. They can exhaust their income or inheritance, just as it was the case of a prodigal son in the Bible. We make the decision ourselves. So, and because we have some minute freedom or independence, of course, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So, we are also entitled to some minute freedom. So, we try to live a life of our own. But if we are fortunate to come across a guru or a spiritual master, then we can have, with the help of knowledge like this, become broad-minded, then we think of our father again, having to go back home. Hare Krishna, Mother.
Thank you.
That's my
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. Yes, yes, yes. And if we can just think about like when the parent of the teenager, what that parent goes through, the hurt, the pain, the anxiety, the anxiousness. Is my child gonna go take drugs? Is my child gonna do this? Is my child? They're totally in anxiety for their child. That's how Krishna is for us, and more, and more, and more. That's how Krishna is for us. And yet we're like, okay, I'm swimming in the ocean. Thank you for creating that ocean. It's sweet. It's wonderful. I love being in the ocean. I'm going to the beach, Yeah. And, we forget him. Yeah. So the teenagers like that, it's like they want to do what they want to do. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
Well, Mother, so I follow up with what Madhavan Prabhu so beautifully shared, and you also added to that. So, the Supreme Lord is more anxious than a father who is about losing his dear daughter, going out there to struggle. Now, why is it that Krishna allows this cloud cover us so much, so thick, to the point that we do not even realize or recognize how eager our Father is to having us back? Because some of us, we have this covering so thick that we even think our Father is dead, is gone. We don't have any Father anymore. So some become atheists. And those who do not become atheists, they also think our Father is not a loving Father. If he were a loving Father, look at what's going on in the family. So, but all these are due to the dense, thick fog cloud covering us. So why Krishna allows this cloud to be so thick? At least if it is kind of transparent, we can see through a little bit. But this is so thick, we don't see through at all.
Well, Sahade, Prabhu, and I see her chakra. You, by Krishna's causeless mercy, you got to see through it. So whatever has worked for you, you need to share that with others because it worked for you. And we're all in that same covering, right? But somehow or other, this causeless mercy of Krishna expands and extends in so many of his representatives, in so many ways. And you have Lord Jesus, you have Muhammad, you have all these great teachers. And then when you want transcendent, when you want some deeper sweetness, then they're the chariots, you know? And so you have been able to penetrate this covering. And so now you have a duty. And you're doing it so nicely. Just making yourself available every single day to bring Krishna Katha. There's nothing more generous to do in your life. So thank you very much.
Well, that doesn't answer my question very much, but I will accept it that way. But
well, I can't question Krishna. Whatever you do,
yeah, that is what I was expecting from you. That please question Krishna for us.
I wouldn't even question my associates in the material world, but to speak of Krishna.
I wish I could speak to Krishna. Chakra Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mother VRAJALILA, for being present for us every time we need. I think the questions that the Prabhu asked, you really answered the question because there are these two examples. The first example is that there is this guy who wake up one day and was blaming the Lord, he was blaming God. That why on earth did God create the housefly and the spider? Because so far as he is concerned, he doesn't see any value in the housefly and the spider. So if you always be talking, God, why? Why did you create these two insects? They are just.
Chakra Prabhu, can you check your mic? It seems it's not quite clear.
Oh, okay. Let me. What about now?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So this guy was always blaming God that why did you at all create the housefly and the spider? So one day, this guy was in the forest somewhere and he was sleeping under a tree, not knowing some people have plotted to kill him. So while the people were gradually trying to sneak on him, there was this housefly that was bothering him so much. The housefly was bothering him so much, so he was trying to slap the housefly off his face. He hit his cheek and he woke up and he saw people coming towards him with machete. So he stood up and started running and the people were chasing him. So as he was running, he was getting so tired. So he saw an abandoned building and he jumped through the window, one window, he jumped through the one window and hid underneath. And somehow the other, a spider immediately started forming its web in the window. So finally, these people got to the building and they were deliberating. Where could he have gone? And one of them was suggesting, maybe he jumped through the window. Let's go. Let's go inside and find him. And the rest were saying, you are stupid. If he jumped through the window, the spider's web would have been destroyed. There is a spider web there. How do you think he can go in without destroying the spider web? So eventually they abandoned and left. So when this guy came back home, then now he understood. He said, oh my God, now I understand, God, why you created the housefly and the spider. If it had not been these two insects, I would have been dead by today, by now. Mm-hmm. So, like Mother VRAJALILA was saying, sometimes everything the Lord has created is for our benefit. But because we ourselves have closed our eyes to the fact, we don't even see, even though the benefit is right under our nose, but we don't see until somebody knowledgeable, like the spiritual master, comes and reveals to us the benefit of everything that has been offered by the Lord in our everyday life for us to use to uncover the truth and be able to go back to the Lord. So this is one example of it. And the second example is, I remember when we were in school in the 60s, there were this, we understood that those days, they said there were 9 planets. There were nine planets. And the sequence of the planets during exams, sometimes you are asked to name the sequence of the planet. But it was so difficult to memorize. So some people came up with a sentence, and the sentence read, my very eye may just be under the 9th planet. So if you take the first letter of each word in this sentence, that is the exact sequence of the planetary system, those days as we were taught. So you may see this sentence, but if somebody doesn't reveal to you that just take the first letters of these words and you automatically be able to answer a question about what is the sequence of the planet, you can easily. So also, we need somebody's help to bring our attention to the fact the thing is right there. And once we get it, we can easily pass our exams and get. And the third example is, one time somebody was trying to teach me that, hey, if you get a multiplication for numbers, any number that you are supposed to multiply by 11, don't struggle yourself. Just add the 2 numbers and put the answer in the middle, and that is the answer. So, like if somebody says 12 times 11, you take the 12 and you add the 1 and 2, and you get 3, and you put the 3 in between the 1 and the 2, and that is the answer. So this is also a technique that if you have someone who is in knowledge, who knows that technique, he can easily show you how you can easily uncover, simply answer a question, any number multiplied by 11. So similarly, like Mother VRAJALILA, you were saying that we are so fortunate that if we come on the path of devotional life, because we have a spiritual master, or it doesn't even matter when we are in the path of devotional life, anywhere we are, if we have someone, a guide, then by the mercy of that guide, certain things can be revealed to us. Even though the thing will be right under our nose, we can never see the benefit of it until someone reveals to us. And sometimes Krishna also is so merciful that even though somebody does not even reveal it to you, but you yourself, you will go through a situation, and the situation itself will unveil the benefit of that of our situation. So, like the questions I did, Prabhu is asking, my little understanding is that sometimes Krishna is so merciful that he himself will take us, will push us into a situation, and the situation we go into, the situation itself will reveal the meaning of certain things to us. And other times, a guide, somebody comes our way like a spiritual master or a senior devotee or something, and by the mercy of these Vaishnavas, they also can reveal the importance of certain things in our daily lives, which can help us make progress towards our success.
Well, thank you. Hare Chakra Prabhu is always practical and always have these, practical examples to illuminate absolute truth. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think it's a founding father of analogies. Shri Kusha Prabhu, please, you be on mute.
Mother Hare Krishna, my humble obeisances.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Yes. I think in the paper, the last paragraph, I think Prabhupada was talking about the non-devotees. They cannot see the form of the Lord, because he mentioned that the Lord reserved the right of not being exposed to their eyes, because they have no eyes of transcendental vision. That eyes of transcendental vision, last paragraph, second to last paragraph, but he said, because they have no eyes of transcendental vision. This is addressing to me, it's addressing to non-devotees who don't see nature as representing Krishna. Even Krishna was saying in the Bhagavad Gita, where he said, among the gamblers, among all cheaters, I am the gambler myself. Prabhupada give analogy of rich men or materialistic men who say there's no God. But when they grow old, about to die, they will be calling God, but they have no knowledge, transcendental vision. But devotees see nature, rainfall, sunshine, as Krishna. Because they have transcendental vision, they have the knowledge. So the cloud, no matter how the cloud covers the sun, a devotee knows all these things are part of Krishna. That's my understanding from what Prabhupada is saying on the paper, because they have no transcendental vision, they have no knowledge. So Krishna have the right for them not to see him. So they live in illusion, not knowing that what they are seeing are all Krishna. That's my understanding. I don't know if I'm right.
Well, the Lord is within our heart and is always revealing himself as we listen. And what I'm hearing you say, Prabhu, is yes, a pure devotee, he sees with transcendental vision and he sees everything. Just like I'm not a pure devotee. So when I look in your picture and I see the palm tree and the ocean and, I see this beautiful house in the back, I think, man, I would love to be where that place is, So I am not seeing I'm not immediately thinking, oh, that's Krishna. That's Krishna's creation. That transcendental vision doesn't just kick in. If I take some time, it may kick in, right? Because we do have that knowledge. However, when it becomes realized, then that transcendental vision, yes, can be seen in everything, in all of the Lord's creation. For example, it says that the mountains, the rivers, the clouds, the trees, and the hills, these are all a part of Krishna's external energy, which is Krishna. It is Krishna. So yes, you're absolutely right. However, depending on my vision, I can see it for my enjoyment, which is how I'm kind of seeing it right now. And I'm being reminded by you, great sage, that this is for Krishna. This is Krishna. So you want to enjoy Krishna's energy? Yes, Krishna gave it to you. You can enjoy it. Krishna is an enjoyer. You're also an enjoyer. However, you enjoy it for Krishna, not just for me, right? So I have to be able to make that distinction in my heart. And thank you, because what you said, now I'm able to go away in this class making that distinction. My dear Lord, I can say a prayer. My dear Lord, thank you so much for Kusha and for him having this beautiful backdrop that reminds me that in
But I have one question based on what you said, please.
You're cutting my prayer.
Mother, you have put yourself in trouble. Let me tell you one thing. You say something now. This issue of you mentioned you're not a pure devotee.
The sage has we can learn from every situation. This is it, So the sage has reminded me to see with transcendental vision that this creation, this Rupa creation that I'm looking at, that I'm thinking I want to enjoy for me, is not for my enjoyment. It's because Krishna has made it a part of this world that I can look at it and ask, where did that come from? Where did that ocean come from? Where did that palm tree come from? How did it get here? And then by that curiosity, I may get a desire to go deeper. And maybe you'll be the sage that could take me deeper. So yes, what you're saying for me makes absolute sense.
And I continue my second question.
Go ahead.
You mentioned you're not a pure devotee. Now that brings a very long question. Pure devotee, who is a pure devotee? Is it when I'm in saffron and danda that makes me a pure devotee? Because when senior devotees say they're not pure devotees, they cannot see things like that, translator vision. New devotees feel that they have no chance of being a pure devotee. If all devotees are still not pure devotees, so what is the fate of new people that join the movement or reading the Bhagavad Gita or the scriptures? So I think, in my opinion, I might be wrong. I think we should start telling people, somebody can join today to practice Bhakti Yoga and become a pure devotee in 1 month. It can have total realization of the scripture and see Krishna in everything. But if we don't preach like this, people will be thinking, unless they stay 50 years, they cannot be a pure devotee. And when the devotee does something, somebody say, you commit offense. But the person committing offense might even be a pure devotee than the Mahabhagavat. We know the story of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj. They were all kids. So for me, you should stop saying you're not a pure devotee. You are a Mahabhagavat also. We look up to you to have inspiration. But when you people speak, I'm not a pure devotee. So what is the fate of we who are in the material consciousness?
That's beautiful wisdom. Again, my dear Kusha, I absolutely understand on a heart level what you're sharing. On an intellectual level, on a material intellectual level, not on a spiritual intellectual level. On a spiritual intellectual level, I can say I'm not a pure devotee because I still want to enjoy things separate from Krishna. I don't always understand that everything in this material world is really for Krishna's enjoyment. And what I understand from the scriptures about those persons that are absolutely pure, like let's say Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they see everything as service to Krishna. Everything is service to Krishna. They're not thinking, I want to enjoy this thing separate for myself. So in that sense, yes, you're absolutely right. Spiritually, I am a pure devotee. Yes, because I'm part and parcel of Krishna. And there's only, in quality, I'm the same as Krishna, just not in quantity, right?
And you have also translator vision.
Well,
yes.
I got transcendental vision today from you, Kusha, to see that picture in the background. That is not for my enjoyment. Yes, so that's definitely transcendental vision. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. However, pray that I can have that transcendental vision every moment of the day. Please pray for me.
Well, Mother, I have on quite a serious note. I accept, in my little understanding, I accept everything you just said and what Kusha Prabhu is also saying, that we should not be saying or doing things that may unknowingly discourage people that this process is actually not doable, but we know it's doable. But my question is, why is it that somebody attends Harvard University, very smart person, very smart student, he scores A's in all his classes, yet he graduates, he comes out, and he becomes a pauper. And someone who was his classmate, not even as brilliant as this person, graduates and becomes a very successful person in society. And I've seen in my few years in devotional service, there are some devotees who will cause so much pain to devotees. They never bloop, they never leave the movement. But there are other devotees who are very, very serious, but something similarly little makes them bloop. Now, why these similarly indifferences, and I wouldn't want to say something to offend, but it does not make sense that somebody is doing something nasty in an environment where there shouldn't be nastiness, yet this particular person is flourishing. But someone who tries his best to do all the right things, but just one moment makes the slightest mistake, loses his devotional service, which is the most important, most valuable asset a jiva can ever have. Why these things happen?
Yeah, bewildering sometimes. However, Nectar of Devotion, explains to us about our past karma, previous karma, was that prabdha karma, and this karma, what we're going through now. And we know when we take spiritual initiation that the fan kind of, as if we take the analogy of devotional service being like a fan. So when we accept a spiritual master, the fan gets unplugged, but the fan still keeps going, right? It still keeps turning before it finally stops. And so we have many past situations that are still there that are being minimized, and depending on our consciousness, how we are dealing in devotional service will determine like how soon that those past karma gets minimized. And so for the person that may be, as you said, doing all the right things, however, they may still have some of that fan going in the background that has to be, purified. And so as if they keep doing the right thing, then it's only a matter of time before that gets, absolutely burned away. And so the idea is, I remember my spiritual master sharing that with me once. He shared a little note, and he said, at a point in time in devotional service, it is only about perseverance. And so even though a person's past karma might be there, if we persevere in devotional service and start hearing more of the soft, sweet voice of Krishna as opposed to the noise that's loud, that's really, just kind of causing separation in us, then yeah, that will go away. It's just a matter of perseverance.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. I was going to say something else, but I also didn't want to say it. And at the same time, I was battling this in my mind. I was saying, well, you don't want to say it, but the Lord is in your heart. He is already aware of it. So why don't you say it? But I'll try to say it in such a way that the Lord will not be angry with me.
So what I would do when I'm faced with situations like that, I breathe.
Yeah.
And I say, my dear Lord, please let me listen to your voice, which is soft.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, let's go.
Well, so what I was going to say is that why would the Lord allow just one grain of sand to spoil a whole beautiful sweet rice? Why wouldn't the Lord just remove that grain of sand from the street rice? And then I recalled that I am also the grain of sand, and I do not want to be taken out. You know? So it's very complex. I mean, this is a very beautiful class. Most of the time when you speak, you make it very interactive. You allow the devotees to speak as if they are also the speakers, but it's bewildering. It's bewildering how the Lord allows things to happen. And what I'm trying to understand from the sharings is that oftentimes there are subtle complexities at play that we do not see because we cannot go beyond the gross. But there is reasons to everything that takes place. We can only pray that the Lord helps protect us so we never go away from his devotional service. But it's difficult sometimes.
Saha, so what I heard in what you said is that you hear the noise. There is noise. Why, what, you know, why are you doing it like this? And then you heard the voice and you had to answer yourself because you heard the voice. You heard the voice and your voice even ended when you heard the voice. That voice ended in a prayer. So that's all you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the noise came back.
The noise keeps coming back. And that is the problem. The noise keeps coming. I hope someday Krishna will help stop this noise. Well, it's been so nice. Anyone with something to share before Mother leaves for today?
Mother, do you want to leave?
No, I want to be there physically.
Kushan Prabhu, there is a hand up. Do you have something to say, Kushan?
No, ask Sri Shopanishad. She will have it.
Okay, Mother Sri Shopanishad, please you may unmute. The ecstatic Sri Shopanishad Devi.
Hi, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Everybody. I just wanted to say thank you for being on and all the wonderful Vaishnavas that's out there in the world. Thank you for very, very much for being in your association. But I wanted to read something that I had found on, let's see here. I just wanted to find it. I had a questioning about, well, no, you know, we're in Kali Yuga, right? And so many things are going on because of where we are and where we're at right now. So there's a little pastime that I wanted to share that I read. And I just wanted to see if I can just find it. You know, I thought I had it before I raised my hand, but I guess I didn't. But anyway, this is about Krishna. Well, four of the Pandavas were asking a question. Yudhishthira wasn't there, from my understanding, about what is Kali Yuga? What is it? And Krishna resolved the question for them. He sent each one of the Pandavas out, not each one of them. He sent Bhima, Arjuna, I can't even think of the name of I'm not ready. Could you guys keep talking and I'll try to find it, because it's better if I read it than try to sum it up, because I don't want to lose it. I just don't want to lose it.
Shopanishad, if you can remember, is that first canto? And then Saha could just pull it up for you.
I'm not sure.
No, I think it's a pastime in one of the Upanishads. In fact, I have the video. That describes the symptoms of Kali Yuga in a very allegorical manner. It's very interesting, but I can't get a hold of it at the moment. But I've actually played it on this platform before.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was just so
there is a
wonderful.
video. I will share it with you and the devotees after the class.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's just so relevant to why we are in this particular energy and what to expect of it. And certain personalities, we are all engaged with different, aspects of life, and it's because of some of our what do you call this? Some of our anarthas. It's what we do. It's part of being a human being, and so these are lessons that we're here trying to overcome, and it's going to be okay. And as far as being a pure devotee, I'm in awe about, wow, when you say pure devotee, I think about, Rupa Goswami, these are people that are just part of the we are Rupa Nugas, okay? And just to be a part of this wonderful ecstatic I can't even find the words to express what I'm feeling about just the name Pure Devotee. And it's just so wonderful to be a part of this journey. We all are part of the journey. We should be ecstatic. We should be jumping up in joy every day. We should never complain because we've been given something that that's just phenomenal. I'll say it that way. But that pastime would really be benefiting for right now because it addresses so many things that we've been discussing or what I've been hearing each one of us say. So I'm done. Haribo, Hare Krishna, Jai.
Thank you, Shapanishad. Thank you for being here. For those, well, we're in the class, so I'll say it after. But we're grateful because Shapanishad was not feeling well for a while, and now she's better. So thank you for being with us.
Jai Prabhu, I found out what my dilemma is, or what the problems are going on with our health. And
okay,
it's part of getting older.
We can talk about it after the class. Thank you.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, no problem. Hare Krishna, Jai.
Hare Krishna. I actually found the video. It's about 7 minutes. I don't know if devotees might be able to stay to watch, but otherwise, I can share with you all later on. But it's very interesting.
Can you show it right now, Saha? Or you
Okay.
Okay, unless you want the devotees to decide what they want to do.
Well, I want to find out from the devotees if they would want it shared now or later.
I'm fine with it now, myself. What about everyone else? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you could just go to the reaction and share, whether and just do this and the reaction button on the bottom of your screen and raise your hand like this or, yeah. And then that way Saha will know if something like that.
So if you want us share, please, you may indicate with a thumbs up, if possible.
Okay, no response.
No response.
I think sure.
I think even the time you are using to ask the question, by the time we finish.
Okay, let's go ahead and then do it. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay.
Purana is a prophetic work in Sanskrit that provides details about the life and times of Kalki, the 10th and the final of the Dashavatar of the Hindu deity Lord Vishnu. Hindus believe that it gives insights on some of the major events to occur in the future. Soon after this, the second, third and fourth stages of Kali Yuga begins. During the second and third portions, men will forget the name of gods and no longer offer yajna to the devas. All holy texts will be lost and no one will know the means to attain moksha. Several powerful and the most well-known mantras like the Om Namah Shivaya or the Om Namo Narayana will be lost. A few mantras that are now widespread will only be known to a few selected sages who will guard this knowledge. During the fourth part of Kali Yuga, cannibalism, which means eating or consuming another individual from the same species, will be virtually universal amongst the humans. The earth will become desolated and extreme pain and suffering will grasp humanity. The conditions will be as bad as Yama's dimension of torture. In addition to the Kalki Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam goes into further details. Sukadev Goswami gives an elaborate description to King Parikshit about what a human life and society will be like in Kali Yuga. He says to the king, "O king, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. In Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered the sign of a man's good birth, proper behavior, and fine qualities. And law and justice will be applied only on the basis of one's power. Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, and success in business will depend on deceit. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex, and a man will be known as a Brahmana just by wearing a thread. A person's spiritual position will be ascertained merely according to the external symbols, and on the same basis, people will change from one spiritual order to the next. A person's propriety will be seriously questioned if he does not earn a good living, and one who is very clever at juggling words will be considered a learned scholar. A person will be judged unholy if he does not have money, and hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement, and a person will think he is fit to appear in public if he has merely taken a bath. A sacred place will be taken to consist of no more than a reservoir of water located at a distance, and beauty will be thought to depend on one's hairstyle. Filling the belly will become the goal of life, and one who is audacious will be accepted as truthful. He who can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man, and the principles of religion will be observed only for the sake of reputation. As the earth thus becomes crowded with a corrupt population, whoever among any of the social classes shows himself to be the strongest will gain political power. Losing their wives and properties to such avaricious and merciless rulers who will behave no better than ordinary thieves, the citizens will flee to the mountains and forests. Harassed by famine and excessive taxes, people will resort to eating leaves, roots, flesh, wild honey, fruits, flowers, and seeds. Stuck by drought, they will become completely ruined. The citizens will suffer greatly from cold, wind, heat, rain, and snow. They will be further tormented by quarrels, hunger, thirst, disease, and severe anxiety. The maximum duration of life for human beings in Kali Yuga will become 50 years. By the time the age of Kali ends, the bodies of all creatures will be greatly reduced in size, and the religious principles of followers of Varnasrama will be ruined. The path of the Vedas will be completely forgotten in human society, and so-called religion will mostly be atheistic. The kings will mostly be thieves. The occupations of men will be stealing, lying, and needless violence, and all the social classes will be reduced to the lowest level of Shudras. Cows will be like goats. Spiritual hermitages will be no different from a mundane houses, and family ties will extend no further than the immediate bonds of marriage. Most plants and herbs will be tiny, and all trees will appear like dwarfs. Clouds will be full of lightning, homes will be devoid of deity, and all human beings will have become like asses. At that time, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear on the earth. Acting with the power of pure spiritual goodness, he will rescue eternal religion. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the spiritual master of all moving and non-moving living beings, and the Supreme Soul of all, takes birth to protect the principles of religion and to relieve his saintly devotees from the reactions of material work. Although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults and sins, there is one good thing about this age. Simply by chanting the name of the Lord, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom.
Hare Krishna.
devotees, I'm sorry, this is not the video I was looking for, but I think it's worth hearing the content therein. But I promise I will find it and I will play it tomorrow by Krishna's grace after the show.
Jai,
I should say.
Hare Krishna. And in the meantime, tomorrow I will read the what is Kali Yuga. I found it. So we'll read it tomorrow too as well.
Okay, good. Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Haribol. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much.
you for that. Haribol.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam VRAJALILA, for your motherly patience. It's very encouraging and very nice to emulate. Except you have some concluding words to give us, we're going to humbly request the devotees to unmute. Madam Raj?
Just thank you so very much for being here. This is your precious time, and we are most grateful.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mother VRAJALILA, and we thank you all, dear devotees, and we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace, Mother VRAJALILA Devi. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpataribhascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. All glories to Her Grace, Mother VRAJALILA Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna.